morning, everyone, and welcome to the Hellenic Initiative New Leader Event Los Angeles for 2026. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Leah Bozanelis, and it is my sincere honor and privilege to welcome you here tonight on behalf of the host committee and the executive committee. You guys, the turnout tonight is absolutely overwhelming. It's one of the best events we've ever had, in large part to this man, which I'll get to in a second. But we're so thrilled to have you here. And it's such a testament to the power of community. We want to do more of these events. We want to activate the West Coast. We're going to tell you all about THI tonight. So thank you so much for being here. Along these lines, we know that nights like tonight don't just happen with one or two individuals. It takes an army, a village. So there's a number of people that we want to thank, starting with thank you for being here, our Consul General of Greece in Los Angeles, Christina Valasopoulou. Where are you, Christina? Can you wave? Oh, there she is. Okay. Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for everything that you do. And she really, really unites our community. She's active in all the organizations, and THI is really excited to be working with her going forward. Okay, so we have a long list of sponsors. Stay with me. First of all, to Tasia Malyares and Tasso Comanescu, who are your musical entertainment for tonight. Many of you have heard them perform. Tasso absolutely rips it on the guitar, and Tasia's like one of the most incredible vocalists. It's going to be an amazing performance that we have for you after tonight's panel. We have Panos Maheras, who is DJing tonight. And this is a perfect segue into, I know the invitation said this ended at 8, but there is a surprise experience where the bar's staying open, the food's coming around, like cancel your dinner plans. This is going to be going till really late tonight.
We have it all night.
So this is going to be a good one. So Pano is also founder of Lagma LA Greek Market, which is effectively like getting Greek delicacies delivered to your door. So be sure you talk to him about Lagma and get your groceries. Max Nikias for donating dozens of personalized copies of American Trojan, amazing book. Effie Panagopoulos from Class Mastika Spirits, who has donated raffle prizes. And we're going to talk to you about the raffle, which is going to be really cool. I think it's 2 tickets for $50. You can grab them at the front area where you checked in, and you can bid or throw your tickets in to get, I think it's it's a Kleos package that includes a cookbook and some other cool goodies. There is the books that we're auctioning off. Jonathan Club put together a tote with its signature whiskey, right?
Sure did.
Signature whiskey and glasses. So really cool prizes. So go ahead and buy the raffle tickets because it all goes right back into the organization. So we really appreciate it. Gabriel from begreek.com and GTG Law, who had a major contribution to tonight in getting it all together. Begreek.com is super cool, you guys. If you're trying to get your citizenship, these are the guys that you need to speak to. As someone who's internally been in the queue, he is the guy that you need to speak to. So go ahead and introduce yourselves to him. Thanasi Papoulias, where are you? There you are. Excuse me, are you Greek? Is how you guys might know him. Thank you for all that you do for us, for the community, for your social media efforts, and for the videography support that you're showing us tonight. To all of our wonderful volunteers, thank you so much for coming and helping check people in. We appreciate you so much. And then we have a special thanks and gratitude to all of our THI hosts who are here tonight, to Christopher and Alexandra O'Dowd, who graciously opened up the Jonathan Club to us, and he basically got an army here. So we are so indebted to you. Thank you so much. To Angelo Karras, who flew all the way in from the East Coast, has a heart of gold, does so much for this community, and he's so quiet behind the scenes, and he's just like the best human. So thank you so much, Angelo. To Lee and his gorgeous wife, Lillian Polidor, thank you for all you do. These two are incredible, special humans who do so much for the community, have a foundation, and we are so indebted to them. Thank you for everything you do for THI. And Lillian. I said Lillian, didn't I? Okay, Lee and Lillian. And to Ernie Zafaris, who has done so much to get people to support and come out tonight. We are so grateful to Ernie. Thank you so much.
Ernie.
Okay, and finally to the THI staff. Many of you flew from far and wide to be here tonight. Ivana, Christina, the social media team. And finally, to a man who needs little introduction, who's known all throughout the community and does so much to support the community, not just for this organization, but for so many organizations. and he is the new-ish executive director of the Hellenic Initiative. He's a Washington Commanders fan, but we're going to let him on the stage anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike MANATOS.
Thank you to Leah for everything, for that introduction, for really stepping up at the 11th hour. I wanted Leah to be the moderator tonight, but she refused. She said she'd do introductory remarks, but that's it. But why is everybody here tonight? The Hellenic Initiative, THI. Who are we? What do we do? Why does it matter? And that's been my job, my first year as executive director. In fact, tomorrow is my 1-year anniversary. So this is a very special celebration. The Hellenic Initiative was born out of the crisis in Greece. When Greece was on its knees in 2010, some of the most successful and philanthropic Hellenes from around the world got together and created a fund, but for the first time ever, created something that everyone had been looking for and has finally been found. And that is a way to give to Greece in a trusted, transparent, and impactful way. Before then, those of you in this room know if you wanted to help Greece, you didn't know who do you give to, and then when you gave, where was the money really going? Now we've got people on the ground who are vetting these organizations, and you'll see on each of these tables there's a little pamphlet that shows the remarkable organizations we give to, both in humanitarian aid and economic development, what they do in one sentence, but most importantly, how the money that THI gave them made a difference in the mission. We're the only organization in the world where every dollar we raise goes to the people of Greece. Now, what is the future of THI? In the first 13 years, we've donated $25 million to the people of Greece. But the future is, thank you. But really, the future is much more than that. And what THI is doing now is, again, something that's never been done before. And that is uniting the global diaspora in giving back to Greece and promoting and preserving Hellenism. And it's a really exciting thing, and people are joining. We got 2 members yesterday and a member the day before because they want to be part of this global community that's coming together in mission and in purpose to help the people of Greece, to invest in the future of Greece. Because, of course, Greece is out of the crisis, but now it's about building a stronger and better country and meeting Greeks from around the world. THI has events all across the country. I was in Philadelphia on Monday, New York over the weekend. The week before, I was in Houston and Tampa. And this not only is an LA event, but it's our first annual LA event. We're going to be out here every year, making sure we engage the wonderful people of the Greek American community of California and the West Coast. We don't do enough of that. So really, it's an opportunity to get involved at a whole nother level in helping Greece. Now, the final thing I'll say before I introduce our amazing panelists. Part of the future are the people in this room, the new leaders, the young people 45 and under, who I would argue as I go around the country that you're off the radar. In this room are these rock stars in their various industries who are proud Greeks, but maybe you're not in church every Sunday or haven't been in a couple of years. Maybe you're not at the National Leadership 100 Conference or the Archdiocesan Council or the Pan-Cretan dances. But even though you're not there, you're proud Greeks. You want to meet other proud, successful Greeks, and THI can be that convener. And we have been in our first several years. But so far, it's been primarily just cocktail parties. So what we are doing for the future of new leaders is we're taking it to a whole new level. Many of you are familiar with a Young Presidents Organization, YPO. That's the gold standard on gathering successful people internationally, nationally, regionally, and locally. And we're blessed to have at THI now 8 couples who are major players in YPO and members of THI. 2 of them flew all the way out here just to be with you tonight, because part of what we're going to do with new leaders is still gather you, but you'll have an opportunity to hear from some really remarkable people about their success, their journey, get to meet them. And this will also include for the new leaders mentorship, meeting let's talk about rock stars. If you look at our board of 42 members, it's not just some of the most successful Hellenes from around the world. It's some of the most successful humans around the world. And so it's a really great opportunity for people in your age group to engage with other Greek Americans, and we're going to really work harder to produce and provide even more for you. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for being a part of THI and our mission. So let me take a moment to introduce these remarkable gentlemen Members of THI. Yep. Oh, very good point. Our mission is uniting Hellenes and philhellenes around the world. And some of our board members are not Greek in blood, but they're Hellenes and philhellenes. And so those of you who are here tonight who are not Greek by blood, come on in. We'll come on into the tent. We include everybody who wants to give back to the people of Greece and meet others in the Greek community. So thank you. Very important point. So the first person I'll introduce is George BOUSIS. George is a serial entrepreneur and an angel investor at the forefront of payments, loyalty, and blockchain industries. He launched the world's leading platform for digital gift cards, Raise, of which he's the founder, CEO, and chairman. Now listen to this. Under his leadership, Raise has achieved over $5 billion in sales and has saved its customers over $450 million. Raise is recognized globally as a pioneer in the payments, loyalty, and blockchain sectors. Outside the boardroom, George's passion is for startups is evident. He's invested in over 85 companies and co-founded Protagonist, which is his latest venture. He's received 3 nominations for the Goldman Sachs Most Intriguing Entrepreneurs Award, a spot on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, and recognition as Crane's 20 in their 20s standout. He's also committed to giving back, serving as a board member for the Northwestern Hospital Hippocratic Cancer Research, which his mother's a huge part of, because I'm a huge fan of as well, and as a member of THI's Lord Byron Circle. Other panelist this evening is John POULOS. John was the founding president and CEO of Dominion Voting Systems. I don't know if many of you in this room have heard that company before, but before selling and exiting the company last year, John led the company's business and operation strategy for over 23 years with a mission of providing technology and services that make elections more secure, accessible, and transparent. Dominion became the second largest voting systems provider in North America, supporting more than 1,200 jurisdictions in the U.S. and Canada. As one of the fastest growing technology enterprises in the U.S., Dominion was named by Deloitte as a Fast 500 technology company for 5 years and awarded the Entrepreneur of the Year by Ernst & Young in the technology category. John was personally selected as one of Canada's top 40 under 40 business leaders and received the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Award. I want to see that. That sounds like a cool award. The Queen's Diamond Jubilee Award for philanthropic work. He's been active in various board positions in the Young Presidents Organization over the past 15 years, as I mentioned, the Hellenic Heritage Foundation, and is also a member of THI's Lord Byron Circle. So tonight is about more than success. It's about how 2 Greek American families built sons who went out, built companies, created jobs, and made an impact. Although they come from different industries, their overlap is entrepreneurship, leadership under pressure, innovation, family roots, resilience, and identity. So please welcome for an interesting discussion, George BOUSIS and John POULOS. Thank you. So first question, let's start by sharing your family's journeys from Greece. And in doing so, if you could highlight some of the sacrifices your grandparents and parents made that drive you today. Let's start with John. What's your family's journey from Greece?
Well, my grandfather came in early 1900s, Ellis Island, changed the name to POULOS, like I think pretty much the whole boat. And there was, my mom came over in the 50s. My parents got married, but very much raised by the larger Greek family that were my grandparents, with mostly my grandmother as the matriarch, holding us all together. All of our first cousins are like siblings, very much about making the family proud and not doing anything that would make the family proud. So that it was a recurring theme in our lives growing up.
Yeah, I mean, similar story. I think it's something that all of us share in this room in one way or another, in just many different ways. But my grandparents similarly came to the U.S. With 4 little kids, and we're always reminded by my parents about selling snow cones and hot dogs and whatnot outside Wrigley Field. And it's a similar story that resonates with so many people that you hear about. It's the struggle. It's coming to a foreign country. It's not knowing the language. It's not really knowing many other people. But what brought them together was their faith, was their culture, was the church, are all the things that really bring us all together in this room. And they knew that although they didn't have many people, they had their own to depend on and to rely on. So my parents had a funny story. I mean, they got married at 16 and 18 years old, left Greece with nothing, worked really hard. My dad, multiple jobs. My mom, same thing, somehow put themselves through school. I feel like we complain like we had it rough, but they made the ultimate sacrifice for all of us in this room. And so anytime I think back of what I'm going through, it's really nothing compared to what they had gone through and the struggles, raising young children, trying to put food on the table, while also trying to maintain and keep their identity and their culture and their language and the church and their values and all those things. And so those have always served as a constant reminder in my life and how I live. And I think our parents have done a great job taking us back to the Choreo and showing us where they come from and remind us always that, regardless of the success, regardless of anything in life, it's important to keep 2 feet on the ground and remember where you come from. Because to see those humble beginnings and what they had, we're just so fortunate and so blessed to call a beautiful place like this home now.
So we have a program we do with young Greek Americans. We bring them to Washington and meet with some of our country's most successful people, and each of them tells the story of their family's journey to the U.S. And it's remarkable to me how every of them have the same story, and a lot of the people in this room have similar stories. I know I do. The person who immigrated, no money, no education, no language, yet one generation later, their kids are going to Harvard Medical School. They're doing amazing things. So what they did bring over with them was Hellenic principles and values. And those are very things that can help you succeed in any country in the world, but especially in the United States where there's such opportunities. So let me go back to George. What are some of the Hellenic values and principles that you were taught growing up that you applied and credit to some of your success today?
Yeah, I think a big part of it in the beginning was faith, actually. A reminder that without God and without all that we've been blessed with, none of this would be possible. And so we grew up in the church. We grew up close to our faith, and it served as a constant reminder of always wanting and having to do the right thing, regardless. I think a lot of what kind of served as an inspiration to all of us is just this notion of like philotimo, of being a good person, of having these strong values. And I think that's what brings us so close together as a community. It's that similar feeling. Is when you meet another Greek or another person, it feels like you've known them for so long, and it brings you right kind of into them. And so I feel like those are some of the biggest things, I would say. I mean, there's so many we can sit up here and talk about, but I think it really came down to faith and values.
It's interesting. Was it your father selling hot dogs? My mom. My grandfather was selling popcorn, working 6 days a week, and never Sunday. It was always in the church. But we're originally from Sparta, and I must have heard "ta nepitas" 100 times, with it or on it. You go out, you give it your best. You never shame the family. Everybody has got so much invested in unconditional support and love. You do your part, and we're all together. That was very much a cornerstone. I remember listening to a private argument with my parents because they couldn't afford piano lessons. And my mom was saying, we can't afford it. We got to cut the piano lessons. And my father was absolutely not. You stop buying me clothes. Stop, I won't eat lunch at work. And then, me and my sisters felt very guilty not practicing. So we changed that. But it was very much that kind of attitude.
That's great. In fact, one of our country's highest ranking Greek Americans in the military, General Andrew Pappas, 4-star general, tells a great story growing up with his father. You talk about disrespecting the family. He said that when I would get in trouble in high school, my dad would call me in and said, "You've dishonored the family, and therefore you are no longer allowed to introduce yourself with your last name. You're just Andrew until I tell you so." And so he said, "What's your name?" "Andrew." "Last name?" He said, "I'm not allowed to say." You'd have to earn back the right to use his family's last name. It's that kind of, I just love those kinds of lessons. Now, you guys are serial entrepreneurs, as it said. So at what point did you decide to bet on yourself instead of taking the standard route? Let's start with John.
For me, it was kind of by accident. My first job was at IBM. I worked my butt off. I loved it. And I got what was meant to be a motivational speech, which was very unmotivating. Just said, you're killing it. I think that the next step for you is usually 15 years, but in 7 years, I think you can do it. And I was just like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. So I ran away the only way I could without breaking my parents' heart. So I went back to school. I did my MBA, and I didn't know anything about MBA. I just decided to heck with it. I'm going to go run away. And I applied to one school, which was in France, which was the furthest place I could apply from Toronto. And so when my mom found out, she's like, France? I go, Ma, but it's school. I'm getting a postgraduate degree. And from then, I kind of just fell into doing my first startup. I was in Palo Alto. After about 2.5 years, it tanked. We went under. But it was so addictive. I loved every single day. I couldn't work enough. I loved what I did. And so after that, I was just, I was bitten by the bug. And it was never about money or success. I just loved doing what I was doing. And I kind of fell into it by accident.
Yeah, so I had a bit of a different journey. I felt like I always wanted to be an entrepreneur and be a builder because it's what I grew up seeing. Not only seeing my grandparents make the ultimate sacrifice of what entrepreneurship is, which is taking risk and leaving the place that they call home. But I saw it in my father building a business. And so it's always something that I aspired to do. So from a young age, I was wheeling and dealing, selling computers, building things. I was a huge nerd. And so by the time I got to college, I was on the opposite side of the spectrum. I actually dropped out of school and started the business because I felt like it was too big of an opportunity to pass up. And so that business is what became today the largest seller of digital gift cards in the US. Starting at a pretty young age, I was hiring people on Craigslist and from church because when I went to the local priest, I said, you probably know some good people that aren't going to kill me. I'm starting this business. Help me meet some good Greeks that are looking for an opportunity. So our entire culture was like all Greek. I somehow met cousins I had never even met. My dad's like, hey, you have this cousin from Greece. He just moved to the US. Hire him. He's a good kid. I didn't even know this person. Somehow it was like a second or third cousin that we all have so many stories of. But I asked him, I'm like, Stathis, what do you do? He's like, I like to cook. I'm like, okay, you're going to be the chef in the office. You're going to cook food for everyone. So we were running like an illegal restaurant out of the office with an electric grill. A whole nightmare and funny story. But it was like the classic grind and entrepreneurial story that I loved. In that business, we went on and raised almost $300 million from a bunch of big institutions and blue chip venture firms. So I kind of saw it from a young age, but I think it was a combination of that. And then the other side, which was it's impossible to work for my dad. So I grew up in the grocery business. My dad was just like, shut up and stack the shelves, make sure no one's stealing. If you see him stealing, make sure you go after them. And so he just he doesn't know how to turn on a computer. And I was always into computers, always into software. And I was like, Dad, we have to do this. We have to do this. He's like, Skase, sit in front, make sure no one's stealing from the magazine. And I was just like, there's no way I'm going to spend the rest of my life working for this guy. And we just saw the world very differently. And I couldn't blame him because it worked out. But I think what's really important are the lessons you learn along the way. And he always taught us that money follows, it never leads. And ultimately, if you just focus on building a really great product, if you focus on just being a really great entrepreneur and a founder and building a really great product, the money just kind of comes with it. That was one. The other thing is just suffering. I think entrepreneurs somehow get a kick out of suffering and working really long hours and sacrificing their lives. And that's why so many times you see successful founders like this. They sell their business. They're kind of in no man's land for a year or two. And they're like, I got to get back on it. I got to start another company and suffer again. So I think that's the one thing that you see in a lot of entrepreneurs.
So technology is changing every industry. The most obvious example of that is AI. So for the young people in this room, what do you think are some of the technological advancements they need to pay particular attention to?
Loaded question. This is a bit controversial because I'm like at the forefront of this. What I specifically invest in, like I've since started a venture capital firm, a family office. We invest in this space. So we focus on what we call critical infrastructure, which is chips, semiconductors, AI, infrastructure, defense. and it's really scary out there. I can say that AI is the largest technological shift we've ever seen in our lifetimes. And it's moving faster, I think, than any of us actually understand or can appreciate. And I gave this speech 2 years ago to the company. I said, look, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to lose their jobs, and we can talk about abundance, and we can talk about all the good things that will come with AI, like in healthcare and disease and all these amazing things that will come out of it. But it is really scary because I think it's a coin flip at this point. It's a 50-50 shot that it's going to be some of the most depressing times or some of the happiest times where we live in abundance. And that's a really scary thing to think about and to process at this point, because you're starting to see the displacement happening in the workplace. And you're starting to see how many people are using these tools. So what I would say is get ahead of it. Try to spend nights and weekends on Claude or on ChatGPT and using these tools and seeing how it can automate things. I spend my weekends, my wife makes fun of me, opening up Pokemon cards and creating agents to automate workflows. So it's pretty funny, but I would say, like, get yourself involved, try to learn as much as you can. I think the most valuable people going forward are going to be the folks that understand how to use and apply AI. That's on one side if you're into technology. The other one is we have a thesis where in a world where AI takes over the world, the things that will actually thrive and succeed are the things like Papu's Diner or the grocery store or collectibles or marketplaces or luxury goods or sports or special talents. Like, there are so many things that will accelerate and create a lot of value. People have special talents and whatnot. So I think in a world where there is an abundance in AI and maybe things don't go so well for others, when you look at just traditional businesses that built this country, I think those businesses will thrive in a world where there's huge displacement.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The AI shift is going to be transformational for society. You look at one computer programmer doing the job of 10, but I do think on the other side of it that there's no replacing human relationships in solving actual problems. And I think it's more the case. I heard this line. I think I love it. Where AI is not going to displace jobs, but a person with AI is going to replace jobs, and you want to be on the right side of that. And I think that, as George said, I think that the winners are nowhere near we're nowhere near the stage of knowing who the winners and losers are. There's crazy valuations on AI company, and so far, like, we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of utility of it.
Setbacks and failures. It's a part of anyone's life, but I imagine particularly entrepreneurs. If you could share with the young people in this room how you deal with those setbacks and failures, but most importantly, one that stands out that was a real turning point in your career.
Countless. And I was actually just talking to Neil about this earlier. I think the biggest predictor of life success is who you marry and the life partner you chose. I married a philhellene.
As did I.
And got a lot of grief about that in the dating stage, but I knew what I was doing. I didn't really know for sure until one day, and this is probably the third time I came home. My wife had a big time job at Motorola, making lots of money. And for everything she made, I was making the same negative, starting my business. And I came home and I said, well, we're going to lose it all. It's pretty much done. And it was like 11. She's putting our daughter to sleep. And she's like, well, all right, whatever. And I'm like, no, like, we could lose the house, everything. And she's like, well, we'll go live with your parents. And if I'm being honest, I actually it was happier for me living with your parents because your mother made sure the kids were all right. And she'd wake up with me in the morning and she'd pack my lunch, and I'm okay with that. So it sounds a little corny, but it's absolutely true for me, which is I always felt that I was sitting at the casino table and I could lose over and over and over again and live to place the next bet. And that was transformational for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. Goes back to entrepreneur suffering. I think you kind of live on the edge all the time, and you like to do that to yourself for some reason, tormenting everyone. I know a lot of folks hear this all the time, but the reason why I have been successful, and I think why you see so much success, is because I failed so many times to get there. And so I think what success actually is at the end is a bunch of unsuccessful attempts compounded into successful outcomes. And you kind of live and you learn. And the way I always looked at it is make small mistakes along the way. Don't make really big mistakes that are fatal, but you can't be scared of making mistakes. Everyone learns mistakes. I think that's why learns from their mistakes. I think that's why it's really important you asked before, Mike, about advice for young people. Make mistakes on somebody else's dime. Try to make as many of those mistakes as a young professional on somebody else's dime that's willing to bet on you to make those mistakes and learn, because that's when you're going to learn the most. And so I actually encourage a lot of the young folks of the company to say, like, just make mistakes, go out there, do it, try new things, because I think new things is ultimately like where success comes out of. So that's a really important thing.
That ties into my next question. I have two final questions. So, advice to the young Greek Americans in this room. If you were a 28-year-old sitting in this room, what's the one thing you would wish someone had told you to accelerate your career at that age?
For me, a couple things. Build lasting relationships that will stand the test of time and the tribulations with people that you really connect with, that will value you when you are, I hate the word success. What does that mean? Monetary? Like all too often? No, that's not the answer. That's the opposite. So building lasting relationships, I think, is key. And I think that if you're in a position professionally, and by the way, I think the THI is a phenomenal place to start building lasting relationships. I was lucky enough to be part of YPO, which was changed the game for me in so many ways for me and my family. But the other, if you're in a position professionally where you're able to learn and you're actively learning, I mean, to George's point, I learned Six Sigma on somebody else's dime, and your company offers that kind of training. You should be all over it. You should be signing up for everything you can.
Completely. I think for me, what I tell everyone is 90% of success is showing up. It's getting on that flight. It's going to that place. It's going to that event, meeting that person when other people don't want to be there. And they want to stay home. They want to watch TV. They want to catch the game. They want to hang out with their friends. They want to do things. You got to be relentless and be the person that's willing to go to any extent to succeed and to thrive and to meet new people. And I think that opens up a lot of doors. And to this day, if I have a meeting and I got to fly to the Middle East, I'll fly for 2 days and fly back home. And it's not that I love to do it, but I know that 90% of people just aren't going to get on the plane and aren't going to go there. And so, it's funny. I was speaking to Mike Gubato about this, who's in the middle of raising a fund. And he's like, I'm speaking to some sovereigns in the Middle East. And they're like, oh, when the war's over, come talk to us. I said, Nico, get on the flight right now and fly there. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, because 99% of the people aren't going to go there because they're going to be scared. But these people are living every day with bombs and all this stuff flying over their heads. So if you show up, you're going to stand out when everyone else was too scared to go. And he did that. And that's opened up so many doors because now everyone's free to meet with them. And so that's one. I think the second thing that John was talking about in terms of network and meeting people and not being ashamed to talk to folks, because I think the way I've always lived my life is it takes one yes to change your life. And so many people said no to me along the way. Imagine being like a dropout of college trying to raise money for this crazy idea. And I was pitching this business and it was like, no, and no, this is stupid. It's never going to work. Or it's too much competition. What does this kid know about that? But through all those no's came one yes. And one person that was willing to give me a little bit of money to invest in the business, which helped me get a first hire and get things going and all that. And so you never know when that one yes is going to come. And so put yourself out there, show up. The chances of you getting that yes are much greater.
And on that, I learned a valuable lesson. I spent my whole life raising money for Greek American organizations and causes. And I once heard that it's not a no, it's just another path not to yes. So you keep plotting the not to yes, and then you find that yes. Final question. You both have achieved remarkable success, but with success comes responsibility. And so there's now, how are you giving back? One clear example is you both flew in today to be here with this group, and you're off to Greece tomorrow, and you're off tomorrow as well. So what else does giving back mean to you now that you've achieved this level of success?
Well, I did on a high note. No, but I think one is, again, showing up. It's not having an excuse and just getting on a plane and coming here. I think for me, you reach a point of success where I think success going forward is what you can give back. And it may not be monetary, it may be time. I mean, there's so many incredibly talented people that shouldn't be judged by how much is in their bank account, but how many lives they touch. There are people that put their lives on the line, whether they're in the military or teachers or whatever it may be. I mean, I was just actually speaking to Mike. You know, there's a Greek that I recently met who was a Navy SEAL, had this idea for this business, retired from the military, started a company building autonomous boats. That company 3 years later is worth $10 billion because he had conviction. He believed in this opportunity, and he was a guy in the military, wasn't making a ton of money, but showed up, had conviction, leveraged a lot of the connections that he had. So I think for me, that's what it really comes down to, is trying to maybe be that one yes for other people in the community. I think we have some of the most extraordinary talent and people in our community. They're smart, they're driven. Everyone likes the Greeks. They're fun. I think that's undervalued. Greeks are a lot of fun, and I can't tell you how much we like to work hard, but we like to play hard as well. And I think that's an important attribute of being successful. People want to be around you.
I always think I'm the product of the people that came before me. My grandparents were instrumental, my parents, and as George said, success was never measured monetarily. It was always by what you can do for people, what people are willing to do for you in your time of need. And I feel a big obligation to carry that on. And I think that I'm ashamed to say how many times I think about if my yaya is watching and would she be proud of what I'm doing right now or not proud of what I'm doing right now. And that drives me. Yeah.
John, George, really appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Let me thank, before I leave, Leah, are there any closing remarks you or I should make? But as Leah's letting me know, thank you again to the event committee. Thank you for Chris and Alexander for this amazing venue and all the bells and whistles. You know, usually we do these events all around the country, but I don't know if there's ever been one on this level, and that's all because of our hosts, Chris and Alexander. So thank you so much to them, to the event committee. We've got a raffle. Again, Chris has got more surprises up his sleeve, so stick around, and thank you again for supporting and believing in THI. Have a good night.